Hello, friends. It's Michaela here with the End All the Things podcast, and we are catching up today with my friend and a recent guest, Jim. We are live on location at Crown Trophy of Flemington. If you listen to the podcast, you're going to hear a lot about Jim and his work, but today we're going to actually take a look at some of it. So, without further ado, Jim, how are you doing today?
I am good. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Thank you for welcoming me. You've been always generous to welcome the community into your store, but today I get to be here.
Okay.
So, we're going to do first things first. Crown Trophy of Flemington is all about celebrating your milestones, your excitements, your company, your family. But today, we're going to give some kudos to this guy. I was recently told that Jim has been welcomed into the Hall of Fame. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's at my high school, Bridgewater Raritan, we created a Hall of Fame about 4 years ago. And so we've already inducted 3 classes. And then this year, for the work that I've done there over the past 42 years, I was an athlete there as well. But it's mostly for the work I've done as an announcer, raising funds for field turf, other special projects. I was nominated and voted in as well.
That's fantastic.
The neat thing is, they say, wow, what an honor. But the funny part about this is I'm on the Hall of Fame committee as well. And so I have to engrave all the Crystal Awards, engrave all the plaques that are going to hang in the high school. I write the program, I write the bios, I MC the event. So I'm going to basically be engraving my own award and inducting myself into the Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm sure that there would be a lot of people that would be happy to support you in that. And I, for one, would be grateful to provide testimony to that voice and to the power of that voice. And what's so amazing about that story is that you are not just the voice. You are not just a former athlete. You are not just the guy raising the money. You're the biggest advocate. And that's for all people to celebrate. So can you show us this trophy?
Sure.
This in the podcast, friends, if you go back and listen to it, we talk a lot about our local high school here, Hunterdon Central, and their work readiness program and the way that Jim merges his business with his philanthropic mission. So show us what you got here.
Yep. So for about the last 12 years, we've invited students in, 2 students for 12-week rotations to learn job skills, life skills. We boil it down to the ridiculous, like the proper way to shake hands and greet people and things like that.
Well, it's ridiculous because we assume people should know how to do that, but it is the most important thing. When I was a high school teacher, you know what I taught my kids, male and female?
Hopefully how to shake hands and greet people.
How to shake hands, how to greet people, and how to tie a tie.
Yeah. And so, the kids over time have learned how to build trophies. This is one that they've built. It's for basketball. This is unique in that this is for 3 schools in Bridgewater that have what they call a basketball buddies program, and that's for handicapped kids at those 3 schools. So we have special needs students building trophies for special needs students, but they also build it for any award, once it's a regular column trophy. And this year we've always put a gold sticker on the bottom that says where the trophy came from. This year we've added a sticker, and it says, this trophy made by the students of the Hunterdon Central Workplace Readiness Program, so that when the kids, anybody receives this trophy, they're going to know it wasn't just made by us, that it was made by these kids. And it's just a program that I'm, happy to support. You mentioned that, I'm an advocate, and I always tell people, I have a big mouth and I'm not afraid to use it. And if I get behind something, I go in 100%, and, I will become its biggest advocate and promote it as best I can.
I love that. And I think that's, I remember from years ago with you, it's always be promoting, right?
Yep.
Always be promoting. And what I love about the way that you do it is that it's not just, hey, I'm Jim, look at me, right? It's, hey, I'm Jim, look what together we can do, right? And if we pool our resources, not even just the financial stuff, right? You're talking about the human resources that have talents and capabilities and are often overlooked in our communities. So you're in the program now. Do you have students working here now?
Yeah, they come. We just switched up the schedule, so now it's we have 2 students from Hunterdon Central on Monday and Tuesday. 1 student right now. There'll probably be a second from North Hunterdon High School, and we've made a sticker for North Hunterdon as well. And they'll be coming on Wednesdays. And the reason we switched up that schedule, because they used to be coming in on Fridays, was Friday's our busiest day, and even though I love working with the kids, that 2 hours, takes up a lot of time when we're trying to get orders out
Right.
the door on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, you got a busy shop going on over here.
It's a little nuts every now and then, but it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. And what do you have on the horizon for that? Like, what are you pushing forward for now? Is there a project? Is there a thought process?
On the corporate side, on the business side, we're promoting our new logo jet machine, which is sitting in the corner over there.
Come check it out.
So that can print color on acrylic, glass, plaques, golf
everyone.
balls, canvas. So it can, on a number of different substrates, we can print color. And I had a choice. I could either replace my 17-year-old truck, or I could buy that machine.
I know what you chose. We
I
talked
like
about that
that machine.
17-year-old
Yes, we
truck
did.
on the podcast and many times, because while you have opportunity to move forward and grow with a bigger truck or newer truck,
Mhm.
your truck works fine. It's moving along. It serves your purposes. It's probably well paid off.
Yep.
Right?
For 12 years.
So why break it, right?
Exactly.
And before we started recording, we were talking about how sometimes I feel like a curmudgeon, like an old lady with technology and
Right.
different things, and how our elders struggle with phones and cell phones and stuff. So there's a balance for you, though, of keeping the new, loving the old. How do you manage that with the business, right? Like, what parts of, there's a 75-year-old glass tray over there that was, etched.
Yep.
To be replicated, right? How do you hold on to that classic old and bring in the new?
You just have to be willing to learn, new things. That technology, it's an art form. It's called sandblasting, and we'll get it done. And but it's one of those where I'll practice on a junk piece of glass
Right.
3 times before I actually try to do it on that one. But I respect the old. There's in this industry, as with every industry, things get modernized and you change out. But there's so many products that are already in existence that people want to match
Yeah.
the old technology, and you have to work with that. Whether I do the work or whether I sub it out to somebody who has that equipment and it's actually still running, that's what we do.
And I think that's just the merging of where we're going with life. We talked about garage doors, my other business, right? And we make our doors look super old,
Yep.
using technology and advancements, but keeping that old craftsmanship.
Yep.
Right? There's still parts that are made by hand and also made by the most advanced technology.
Exactly.
And it's just how we balance it, right? And that same balance is needed to manage the passion we put into the business and the
Right.
passion we put into personal life,
And-
which you seem to do.
Well, Mark
beautifully.
Twain said, if you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life. And I live that in just about everything I do, whether it's, Crown Trophy, my announcing, or anything. I just love what I do. And people my age are getting ready to retire, or they already have retired, and they're bugging me like, when are you going to stop? And I'm like, I'm having too much fun
Yep.
to stop. And I can see myself doing this if the health holds out 5 to 7 years, more. I'd love to. And then maybe even just coming in part-time, but I just don't want to sit on the sidelines and watch Wheel of Fortune all day.
No, but you know what? Wheel of Fortune is great. It'll keep your mind sharp. I'm particularly a fan of The Price is Right. You
Right.
have high hopes of being on the show still one day. I wrote a college essay, a persuasive essay,
Right.
compelling, like exactly how it was going to go. So it's manifested.
Now you got to mail it to Drew Carey.
Now I got to mail it to Drew Carey. I'd be like, 20 years ago, I wrote you this for you on this day.
And one of the things you had mentioned, like what's on the horizon.
Yeah.
So I still want to keep going with the kids. I didn't realize it was 12 years. Somebody pointed that out to me
Congratulations.
a couple weeks ago. But I'm involved with a new organization, just pretty much as a donor, and it's not even financially, but there's an organization called the Marissa Tufaro Foundation, which helps children in Middlesex County. And I've met the mother and father of Marissa, and she had 6 open heart surgeries and eventually succumbed to a rare form of cancer when she was just 13 years old.
Let's hold her for a moment. That
Absolutely.
is incredible.
And, so I've gotten to know Greg and Cindy, and just the mission of their foundation and what they're doing with, art scholarships and, other scholarships for kids, and donating toys to kids that are in hospitals around the holidays and stuff. They had a big basketball tournament in December, and they filled a U-Haul van full of toys to
Amazing.
distribute. And it's funny because they keep coming to me and saying, thank you. And I'm like, I'm not here for the thank you. I'm here because I want to be here and, put me to good use.
Well, so how do you manage then on the days where, like, I love my job, I'm happy, I want to keep going. What do you do on the days that you don't have that energy? Like, how do you muster it, or just does it not happen?
It doesn't happen. And it's funny because I tell people, and I'm in the process of writing a business book, and there's one chapter dedicated to that. And so the way it starts is, if you get that feeling on Sunday night, like, oh, I got to go to work in the morning, and people have that dread, and it could be they don't like their boss, they don't like the work, they don't like their coworkers, whatever the reason is. If you had a camera in my house on a Sunday night, I would look like a lion in the zoo, just pacing back and forth, like, come on, let's go. Is it 9 o'clock?
Is it time yet?
Can I go to work? And it's like, I'll find myself in here on a Saturday or a Sunday, just putzing around with equipment.
Wow.
Or doing some paperwork and stuff, just because I want to keep this as good as it is and make it better. But I love work, and so like I said, I'm like that lion in the zoo, just pacing back and forth. I can't wait to do it.
Well, but I gotta say, your work is about celebrating with people, organizations, you name it, right? If you look around the office, there is just celebration after celebration after celebration. And I think that when you put your voice to that and it amplifies, it's contagious for other people. So I can see where that fuels the business side of you and that passion side of you. And
the best part is, like I always tell people, in this business, and it'll be 15 years on March 4th, we don't get
Congratulations.
people...
Let's not gloss over that. 15 years is a long time.
But we don't get people in here to come in and say, darn it, I've got to buy, these awards for my sales team. They're celebrating their sales team. Or, darn it, I got to buy these trophies for my Little League World Series team. No, but everybody's in a good mood.
Yeah.
When they come in, and you may be in a bad mood because of something outside, but you're in a good mood because of the event.
Yep.
And so we play to that, and we just make sure that that it's returned in kind when they get the product, that they're getting a good product, and it's something we always tell people, we want to create an awards program that you'll be proud of, and it works.
I love it. So what would you say is one of the more standout-ish, unique, or off-the-wall, or precious jobs in trophy making and its, counterpart and the rest of it?
I mean,
it's so interesting.
We've done a lot and it's hard after 15 years to remember all of them, but we've done a lot that have specific significance to individual people. And sometimes it's just a plate that's going to stand in front of an urn in a mausoleum, but it's important to them. So we want to do a great job. One of the ones I'm most proud of is a local gentleman had a very rare car, and I was in business maybe 6 months, and on the firewall, there's a plate that describes the car. VIN number, engine size, things like that. Now, this had to be replicated, and he gave me this... To
look like the original.
Right, and he gave me this piece that was crumpled, wrinkled. He had to tear it off of the firewall, and it was rusty, and so I recreated it, and I took probably about 3 days to do it. He puts it back on the car, he takes it down to Amelia Island, I think it's in Florida, and Pebble Beach, were two of the greatest car shows, concours, and he won. And the comments that he got from the judges was that they couldn't believe the dash plate or the firewall plate was still intact and as good as it was. And I was like, we just fooled everybody at Amelia Island, but that's the pride that we take, and it's got to be done right, or we're not going to do it.
And that's it. I mean, if this guy had been working on his car, I'm assuming for a long time, at least preserving, protecting, updating, you kind of have to, right? Like, you can't half-ass that.
And it's believed that there's only 12 of these cars left in the world. And so that's what made it, even more special.
So you kind of put your little mark on history.
On him, yeah, and it's like it's
on his history,
and it's he sent me pictures, getting the cup and the ribbons and all that, and he came in, he goes, "This is as much yours as it is mine." I said, "No, you're the one doing all the work. I just make the shiny stuff."
Well, but it goes to show you, and I will say this as your friend, I would love for you to see you take those compliments. You do and you give, and I hear you say all the time, "Well, it's not about the things." right?
To me, it's not.
But it's okay to be thanked.
I
The work that you do is
appreciate it.
very, very worthy.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate all the compliments and everything like that, but it's like, I do what I do.
Because you choose it.
Right, and it's not, I'm not looking for the thank yous, and I don't, you mentioned something earlier, and I don't put myself first, there was a baseball coach who passed away about 10 years ago, and in the brim of his hat, he always wrote, "I am third." And I love that because it was faith first, family second, me next. And that's kind of how I live my life. It's faith, family and friends, and then me. And, so I don't need the thanks and the recognition and all that stuff. I'd rather see, I take great joy in seeing other people get recognized.
Yeah.
And, it's like, I'll win an award for the business, and my acceptance speech is never about, well, look what I did. It's always about my crew, my team, because they're the ones that are really, in the trenches getting it done.
Yeah. Well, nonetheless, you still deserve all the claps and gratitude. So if that's the case, right, it's all giving, it's all I'm third, and you're pacing on Sunday nights, right, waiting to go to work. Do you sleep?
Rarely.
How do you function
without
sleep?
A lot of people ask me that, and I do sleep, but I carve up my time where I dedicate a certain amount of time to each thing. Mm-hmm. There's time for this job, there's time for family at home. I'm home every night for dinner unless I have a basketball game or something like that. But for the most part, with the exception of maybe 20 nights a year, I'm home having dinner with my wife. We're doing video calls with the kids and the grandkids. So I've never.
There's a lot of that calm.
Yeah, I've never wavered from that. I used to be one of the announcers for the Somerset Patriots, and I had to walk away from that job when my kids got to the age where they were playing baseball because I wanted to be with them. Not with the Patriots. And it was a very difficult decision, a job that I loved, but I was like, I'd rather be the coach on the sideline with my kids than entertaining 7,200 people a night.
Well, and I think you hit on something that is really important, and I work with my people in my coaching practice, is how are you spending your time,
mm-hmm.
right? If you're here at the office every day just churning, and not pausing and saying, what are the other most important things? Or how else do I best need to use my time? Or is this the best use of my time? It's so easy to just get the day to evaporate, and then you get home and you're cranky and you're miserable and you're not focused on the time with your wife. So I think, that time chunking
mm-hmm.
or blocking and understanding that it's worthy.
Right.
If I can give my best in this little period of time, that's great.
And like my wife, very often she'll go to bed at 10 o'clock. So if I'm in the process of writing a book, I don't do it during my regular work hours. We have dinner, we'll do some things, watch TV or whatever. When she goes to bed, then I'll sit down. And some nights you stand there with your hands on the keyboard and nothing comes.
Yeah.
And other nights it's like I can't go to sleep because this is just pouring out of me.
Yeah.
And but I just block out my time, and I don't. You're not going to see me sitting around, playing solitaire on the phone or video games. I mean, I have things to do, and I always tell people it's kind of like, President Jed Bartlett on The West Wing, where he after he finished something, you solve a Mideast peace crisis and stuff like that, and he would knock on his desk and go, "What's next?" I'm that guy.
Yeah.
It's like I'm always at what's next, and then get it done.
I like to pause and say, okay, I just did that. Let me be here now. Now what's next?
Mm-hmm.
Like I find putting that little bit of breathing space.
Yeah, you have to.
To just say, congratulations, self, right? To put the hand up, give yourself a high five. Because if we don't, we'll roll right into the next with no appreciation for the effort we do.
And a lot of times you bring baggage from the first project to the second project. You're not focusing clearly on what you want to do.
Yep. So before we cut out today,
mm-hmm.
I got to ask you about the Vince Lombardi trophy back here. We've got to talk about that. Can y'all see it?
No problem. So that's a replica from Super Bowl 21. The Giants beat the Broncos, I believe, that year. And so Wellington Mara, the owner of the Giants, thought they'd never get back to a Super Bowl. So he wanted to get some of these for key personnel. So Bill Parcells got one, Phil Simms, guys like that. And this was owned by a gentleman named John Johnson, who used to be the head trainer for 60 years of the Giants.
Cool.
So he got one. When he passed away, his son just started calling trophy shops in New Jersey saying, "Hey, do you want any of my father's memorabilia?" And
Yes.
I say, well, typically we don't buy old trophies, but send me a picture of what you got. So he sends me a picture of this, and I called him right back up and said, we buy trophies all the time. So what do you want for it? So he named his price, and we negotiated, and I got it for a very fair price. And it's, to me, it's like one of the, between that and the Stanley Cup, I don't think there's a prettier trophy representing sport.
Yeah.
So we have that, and then up above we have a replica of Jeff Gordon's third Winston Cup from NASCAR. So if you're a race fan, you'll recognize that.
Wow.
Winston was a sponsor for, I think, 25 years in NASCAR, and so they would make one for the driver, one for the car owner, several for the sponsors. This came out of the Winston Cup Museum, and when they called to see if I was interested, I said, yeah, I'm definitely interested in the Gordon one. Well, it's broken. And I was like, well,
I can
as
fix
long
it.
as long as the face plates are okay and not scratched. We got that one for real cheap. But that's another one. I was a Gordon fan, so that's another one that puts a smile on my face when I come in the office every day.
That's really cool. Not many people can say that.
No, and 12 apparently.
Well, folks, if you haven't already done so, please go back and check out, I believe it's episode 33. I thoroughly and completely enjoy when we get to spend time chatting together.
Same here.
I always find I learn something, and when we chatted a while back and you said, I moved through cancer, kept my head on straight. So I was sick with the flu. I was like dead sick, right? And I was thinking of Jim going, I might be feeling miserable and dying, but I'm going to keep my head on straight. I'm going to keep focused.
Mm-hmm.
And I did everything I could to, yes, I would be like, oh, I'm miserable. But then it's okay, but this is not going to last forever. I have what it takes to get through it. And I totally pulled a little bit of Jim out of there. So I want to say thank you for helping me get through being sick.
Well, it's funny because when I was going through cancer treatments, my slogan was from Friday Night Lights, and it was clear eyes, full heart, can't lose. And it doesn't matter whether I was sick as a dog or laying in bed with no energy. And eventually I made challenge coins that represent that. And they say clear eyes, full heart, can't lose, with the JG initial for me. That's my brand. And on the back, it says thank you for your support, and the lines, I'm not done yet.
Not done yet.
And I'm not done. And so I gave this to doctors and nurses and family members and friends who were praying for me and would call and check in and everything like that. So I want to give you one.
Oh.
And then, I carry one in my pocket.
Oh
and
my gosh, Jim.
The neat thing is there's a nurse up at Hackensack who, when I go there every 3 months, she comes walking down the hall. She makes sure she schedules when I'm going to be there.
Oh my gosh.
And she's always got my coin in her pocket, which is kind of cool. So.
And I think this is one of those ways that your voice isn't always in how you speak.
Mm-hmm.
The voice is what you project and present and share with others.
Yep.
And I'm really grateful you're not done yet, because the world is a hell of a better place because you keep going. So.
And hopefully we spread that, and whether it's leading by example and other people emulate that, or pushing people, to do more. There's a great comic, and it's going to be part of my acceptance speech at the Hall of Fame, where from the back you see Charlie Brown and Snoopy, and Charlie Brown says to Snoopy, "You only live once, Snoop." And Snoopy looks at him and says, "No, Charlie Brown, you only die once. You live every day." And so I want to squeeze, and it's my goal, I want to squeeze as much out of every day as I possibly can.
I love that. Well, take some inspiration from Jim. Take some inspiration from yourself, because we are not done yet.
Nope.
And we have a lot to do, and we have a lot of opportunities to use our businesses, our communities, our voices, and whatever spirit we have to make the world a better place.
And keep doing all the things.
And keep doing all the things. Folks, we'll check you next time. Thanks so much.